Hello, I'm the Angry Spork, taking issue with the Gambit miniseries. The only thing better than smoking around an unwell coma patient is moving her around from place to place over the course of one night. At least that seems to be Gambit's feelings as he retrieves his surprisingly alive wife Belladonna from her family home, then interrupts the Thieves Guild's tithing ceremony for help he doesn't get, before finally leaving her under Rogue's care in a house he's owned for several years. Meanwhile, the resurrected Julian apparently joined forces with the thief Pierre to attack the tithe collector for the elixirs of power and life, only getting the second of the 3 vials, and for the mysterious collector to bleed his way to the door of the external Kandra.
Issue 3's cover sees Gambit, with a handful of charged cards, standing over his dad while Julian drops in to attack like a dark blue spider monkey. We begin in Paris, at the Petit Chao, an exclusive club for the rich and powerful, where less than respected or legal things take place. Gambit, dressed like he's auditioning for the lead role in Renegade, asks a dealer about Kandra, with no luck. He flirts a little with a woman that recognized his American nationality, and before they can take a few steps, Remy is called to the establishment's manager by 5 rather large men. They take him to an elevator and then the garage level, as LeBeau opines on the first-class club and its clientele of people with more time and wealth than they know what to do with. The men ready their guns when Gambit asks for one last smoke and a light. One goon obliges, tossing over a cigarette case and a gold-plated lighter, the latter of which becomes ammunition against them, because apparently these guys weren't informed who they're dealing with.
This is why you should never take up smoking, people. Someone will ask you for a light, they'll reveal they have the mutant ability to charge objects with explosive energy, and then they kill you with it. Happens every time.
Though the lethality of Gambit's explosions can be a little vague in this story, so maybe they're alive. At least one is, before Gambit kicks him into unconsciousness. In any event, this is confirmation enough for Remy that he's in the right place, so he changes into his working clothes. He narrates that he wants the elixir of life straight from the source to save Belladonna, but is taken by surprise by the tithe collector, whose hand glows as he says Kandra will see him now, and things go black. Back in New Orleans, we're introduced to Tanti Mattie, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, who's known Remy ever since he was a kid looking for a love potion to win over Bella. She says she's a healer with the eye and the touch. That's supposed to be better than someone trained in a fancy medical school.
No offense, but, please tell me you're a mutant with healing abilities? I'm as critical of the state of healthcare as the next guy, but unless you can poke someone's forehead and make their gout vanish, I think it's better to be treated by someone with some of that thar book learning.
Anyway, Mattie does what Wolverine did in issue 1, state how obvious it is that Rogue is in love with Gambit.
You know, just in case someone forgot about the whole dynamic between Gambit and Rogue, or forgot what happened in issue 1, or just didn't buy issue 1 at all and decided to start with number 2 of a 4-issue series.
What she does differently, however, is point out the sad irony that Rogue is watching over the wife of the man she loves, but she says the Lord doesn't give us any heavier burden than we can carry. She leaves, saying that she'll be stopping by daily and whenever needed, but between her healing and the magic used by Donna's father, Marius, she is slowly slipping away. Left alone again with the unconscious woman, Rogue ponders if she's dreaming of Remy, and just how easy it'd be for her to absorb a peek at those dreams.
If she do it, she get a whoopin'.
It's there we return to Paris, where Gambit is waking up in a rather lavish bedroom, thinking he's all alone until the tithe collector tosses him across the room, recapping the attack he suffered the previous night/issue, thinking Gambit was somehow partly responsible. LeBeau doesn't even know what he's talking about, not that he much cares, preferring to chuck a charged picture frame at the collector while narration explains his whole deal of change objects' potential energy into interkinetic energy, then make go boom. Or in this case, fwakoom. Their tussle is interrupted by Kandra, whose fashion sense looks like it's ripped off of both the White Queen and the Scarlet Witch. There seems to be some history between her and Remy, though not one that involved introductions or real names, and they start making out, leaving Gambit to drop some cards that lose their charge as they fall. Juxtaposed to this is Rogue's bare hand inching ever closer to Belladonna's forehead, but thinking better of it before contact, and that she hasn't the right to do what she intended. She apologizes, only for Belle to grab her wrist in a sudden involuntary reflux, flooding Rogue's mind with memories.
She did it. Sorta.
Back to Paris, where Kendra uses her telekinesis to hit the ceiling with Gambit, as they ambiguously remark about their past together. Cajun charm won't work on her from someone with loyalties only to himself, and she presents Remy with what he wants, the elixir of life, then promptly drops it down her bustier. She says that they could make an arrangement, but first explains that centuries ago she established the rival guilds of thieves and assassins to work for her, while keeping each other in check. Though she's long reaped the benefits of both clans' work, she now wants to shake things up and make way for a new organization, as Jean-Luc LeBeau is dropped to the floor face first, hands tied behind him. Out with the old, in with the new, I always say.
Yeah, but even though you look young and hot, aren't you technically still kind of...
Don't say it.
old? Worth it.
Kendra had dreams for Remy, as they both seem to enjoy the danger in their lives, but she can't have someone work for her that walks such a centered path and doesn't pick a side, like how he bounces between his coma wife and X-Men teammate. If he kills his adopted father, he'll be given the elixirs to do with as he wants. Gambit would sooner kill the provocatively dressed blonde instead, but can barely finish his threat when an explosion rips through the room. We stop in Nyalans, where Rogue experiences the memories she's absorbed from Belladonna, in particular her courtship with Gambit, and the affection they shared. Rogue falls to the floor in tears at what she's done.
The narration here does a really good job of establishing the emotions of the memories and those of Rogue. For someone that avoids skin contact at all costs, it's portrayed very well how Rogue getting what she wanted can have some terrible side effects. She almost gave in to a moment of weakness only for it to happen anyway, and she knows how wrong it was. Now she's got to live with it.
That penthouse-shattering kaboom was courtesy of a group of assassins, led by Julian, who reveals that Kendra brought him back from the brink of death, so I guess he wasn't dead, to stir up some trouble, and now he wants the elixir. Kendra sicks the tithe collector on them, revealing that his loss in Issue 2's fight was on the benefactress's orders, so things should turn out differently this time. Or maybe not. Julian literally shoves him aside for his minions to pummel, while he starts throttling Kendra, promising to kill her and all the externals for what he's been made into. But his attempt at murder is foiled by Gambit's staff knocked against his skull.
Kabong!
Very good, sir.
And here we have the first indication that Julian has a problem with what he is. Yeah, he attacked his former family, but he did so declaring them weak and wanting them out of the way for his new guild. What is the downside to his existence that we've yet to see?
Remy notes how even now Julian is allowing himself to be used by Kendra in her twisted games, while Belladonna needs the elixir to live. He's punched in the back of the head by a random assassin, as Julian remarks that he'll save his sister, and she'll love me, her brother, me, like it should have been before she met you.
Phrasing.
And in case you're wondering if the Archer clips are taking anything out of context, even Gambit calls him Six, so he seems to think that Julian's affections are less than platonic. That's when the Dark Killer lands a killing strike on Jean-Luc, diving in to save his son's life. Vowing to save both his wife and father, Gambit goes ballistic on his foes until it's down to just him and his zombie brother-in-law. However, a psionic blast from Kendra sends the latter flying out the window, ending the skirmish. This wasn't just to spare her Persian rug of any stains, but because she owed Remy her life. He shows his appreciation by planting a kiss on her while dipping her backwards, but the novelty wears thin for the external. She insists that he leave before she has him killed, and he does so, taking his father and thanking Kendra.
Yeah, I'm sure that gaping torso wound will hold throughout an entire oceanic voyage.
Despite needing to clean her place up, probably gonna need a very discreet maid service, the external considers the evening a success. The guilds will break, Julian remains a wild card to keep things interesting, and Kendra can begin consolidating her power. Then she notices the vial of elixir is missing, pointing to where most male readers were already looking anyway. Kind of difficult to tell how he got it without getting overly handsy, which, even given the circumstances, is kind of creepy. The only alternative is that he dipped her so far back between panels that the vial slipped out on its own and he grabbed it when she wasn't paying attention. Maybe they couldn't really think of a way he could get it, so they left it ambiguous. Angry at being charmed, she goes full Capone and orders Gambit and those he loves dead.
I want Remy dead. I want his family dead. I want his rustic Louisiana house burned to the ground. Tune in next week for the final chapter in the miniseries to see who lives, who dies, and if Gambit is a more interesting character than I've given him credit for. I kind of doubt it. I'm the Angry Spork, and man, have I got issues.